Evening, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? Hope you all had a good weekend. I know I for sure did. Had one of my best friend's birthday. Had a baller time there, and yeah, gonna be doing a recap of what the heck happened on Friday, which, just to sum it up, it was probably one of my worst trading days I've ever had. I don't know if it's like the worst, but it's definitely one of the worst. Um, and yeah, it was just a blow up day. So I got caught in revenge trading and flip trading. Flip trading is basically where you're constantly reversing your position. And I'll go over my execution. I actually have the video here, and I'll show you like what I was doing, where exactly it is that where it was that I kind of fell into the revenge and flip trading kind of thing. But started off well, and then it just spiraled into one of the worst days that I could have ever had. Happens. Don't worry too much about it. Uh, I lost the eval, sure, but I did prove to myself that 3 weeks of consistency is more than enough to bring in eval up to above the buffer. For me, at a certain point in my life, I thought that was pretty hard to pull off. Like I could I saw people like passing evals in under a week, and I'm like, how are they doing this? Right? They're risking more than I am, and I wanted to do it slow pace. And like the way I saw my trading, I'm like, this seems tough to pull off in a short period of time. But now that I can do it, I'm like, okay, if I perform like this, I know I'm gonna do well. I just gotta keep doing it and actually do well with it. Okay, so um, to kind of start off, I want to go over the context that I had for this trading day. Okay, so previous day's range stat was neutral because we broke both sides of um, the previous day's candle. So this was Friday, so Thursday had broken both Wednesday's highs and lows, and you can just see it here, right? If we go to like a 1 hour chart here, so we know this is Thursday, right? Thursday starts here, Wednesday's low is here, and Wednesday's high is here, broken here in the last hour, one of the last hours of Thursday, and the high was broken in the morning. Cool. So we know that, and we can even see it on a daily chart if it's easier. But this is Thursday's candle. It broke both sides, so that stat was neutral. Okay. Now we go down to a 15 minute to see what I was looking at um, before market open. Okay. So before market open, I was seeing that true day was somewhere around here. Yeah, true day was like right here. So it was very close to open, right? So I didn't take into account. I just deleted it. I had it on my chart when I first when I was doing my pre-market analysis, but since we're like right there, I'm like, you know what? Doesn't matter. All right. Anyways, I also noticed that price reached a high time frame support zone, which is this low volume node and WOG area, right? So this entire week, so the past week was pretty much bouncing between these areas and just playing those. Um, if you played those, it would have been fine. But yeah, um, and then what else was there? Yeah, this week was pretty much bouncing between these two. If you had these two marked out, you would have been just fine. But anyways, I noticed price reached the support zone, and it also swept Tuesday's low and reached this end of the NWOG, or at least like the price gap itself. I take into consideration the entire thing because technically we gapped up from all the way down here to all the way up here. But yeah, price since then has been disrespecting bearish FVGs. So you can see we're disrespecting this. So we're disrespecting bearish for value gaps, right? And if you look at a volume profile for the entire week, okay, this just looked like we got below the value area low and recovered. Okay, and if you look at a session volume profile, so just take into consideration this, right? Same thing. We got below the value area low and are recovering, and we're kind of sustaining at this point of control. This initially looked like a London reversal. So London kind of started the reversal, or at least part of the reversal. Um, and then New York continuation. So I was like, my thought process for that. Ideally, I wanted to see price retrace into this fair value gap right here. I'll actually bring this fair value gap right here, because we had equal lows and a 50-minute gap and a 30-minute gap. Okay, we also have previous low. What else was there? I could see, so I did notice we had a 1 hour gap that price did tap into. We didn't tap into the 15-minute, but we did tap into a 1 hour gap, which I did have marked out as a line, not the whole gap itself. And I said I could see price ripping off the 1 hour FEG without giving us a retrace into the 15-minute, 30-minute FEG, and that's okay. I was okay with seeing that happen, but I wanted to see something clear if I wanted to take a trade off of that. I didn't want to just take it off of the 1 hour FEG, because if I did that, then I would have probably had to put the wick that formed inside the 1 hour FEG, and that could have just been more liquidity that price would want to take then, which actually I don't think it got swept, at least in New York AM, but yeah, we'll go over that in just a second. I wanted to see a retrace to a low volume node before hitting Asia high and 4 hour FEG. So Asia high was over here. I'll mark this out as Asia high and a 4 hour for a value gap. So we can actually we'll delete this for now. And this is the 4 hour gap. Clearly we see that price did hit these, but these were the two targets that I had in mind. So yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for, and we'll mark out the volume profile, make sure it gets extended. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Cool, awesome. And then I tried playing the retrace off Asia high sweep plus 4 hour FEG. Okay, I'll go over that in just a second. After that, I wanted to trade towards unfilled 1 hour, which is all the way up here. Plus IB high had set second. Cool. So now we can go over the actual executions. So we'll just hop over to this video really quick and play it out. We're a few minutes into market open, 12 minutes into market open. I saw a big buyer increased CVD by 600 points, pretty significant, and then we just continued ripping. I'm like, cool, we're probably gonna hit the equal lows. Price decides to not do that, and price actually recovered, formed a low volume node here. I wanted to see a retrace into this, when we just ended up not getting it. Right? So we end up not getting that. We form another low volume node. And I think I wanted to wait for the retrace into this. And at a certain point, oh, okay. I think here, price retraced into this low volume node and sellers just pushed through it. I'm like, cool, we're probably going to get a retrace into the next low volume node, and that's going to give us the move. And then this happened. We tapped New York VWAP, the 0.5 of the New York range, and ripped higher. Here is where I looked for a short, and I'll explain why. For starters, ooh, do I still have the screenshots? Shoot. Oh, I think I do actually. Yep. So we swept Asia high, tapped the 4 hour gap, and you see how we're kind of making lower highs a little bit, right? This is what I saw on Bookmap. Okay, saw a lot of failed buying here, right? our CVD is higher by like roughly 200 points, yet we made a lower high. Obviously, this idea ended up getting stopped out, as you can see here, but this is what I was seeing initially, and I was seeing sellers just like it looked like sellers accumulating orders because we started making lower highs on the CVD. So I'm like, cool, I want to take this. So this is where, yeah, that's where I started taking a trade. And I wanted to see a retrace into the low volume node. You can see that's my target. And I think it started to look good for a bit. Um, and then, yeah, it just kind of ripped higher. Um, like, it started looking good for a bit. I could have been more aggressive with my stop loss adjustment. I just didn't get a chance to do so. Um, but yeah, aggressive buyers just stepped in right here, um, which I didn't quite expect because it wasn't like a key level or anything. I guess buyers were just very present in this area. But yeah, I should have noticed that we respected New York VWAP. I kind of like the idea. I've taken this type of trade before and it worked out perfectly because, yeah, that's where I get stopped out. The last time I took a trade like this, it worked out perfectly because price did retrace into the low volume node. Not only did it do that, it ripped through it. So it gave me a perfect target, great RR. Um, yeah, I knew I was playing the retrace. Here, I was fine with this loss because I knew I was playing the retrace, and I was playing off of Asia High getting swept, not displacing through it. We had this is a 5 minute time frame. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. So we were hovering at Asia High for like 20 minutes. We were hovering. We kind of tapped this 4 hour gap and like we were just wicking it for like 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay, this looks good for a retrace, and then just continued higher. And it like aggressively continued higher. That's when I noticed we had an unfilled 1 hour up there. I think had a low volume node there. Cool. I was playing off of the low volume node, but see how we kind of got a bit under it. I like that we tapped the New York VWAP and the 0.5. We should have waited for a clear reaction. If I'm being honest with you, should have just waited for a clear reaction. I had like a 30 something point stop. But yeah, and then this just ended up stopping me out. Here, this is where I started losing it on the third trade. I was like, you know what? We're gonna head lower. We're gonna head lower. We disrespected the low volume node. Um, yeah, we're gonna head lower. And yeah, this is kind of where I started losing it. I entered a short, and then let's see if I can speed through this. If there's any option to do that. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So yeah, this is kind of just awful trading. I mean, I just started losing it here. I don't even know why. I just got emotional for getting 2 losses, after being $600 away from passing my first eval, um, or passing an eval for the first time. But yeah, this ended up getting. I think I didn't even get subbed out. Yeah, I just flipped my position. Started looking good. I saw that we tapped a 618. Look, we were respecting. I was in profit for a little bit, and then yeah, after this, it looked awful. It just worked horribly. Reverse that. Reverse. Reverse it again. And I think this was the last one. Yeah, this was the last one. So yeah, it was just an awful trading day, and I kind of want to go over the chart for a little bit because this low volume node that formed, I want to say, yeah. So this low volume node that formed, the first low volume node that I had marked out off of the 1 hour FEG, that first low volume node that formed, actually ended up giving an insane move. And I mean, not an insane move, but a very solid move. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. And I'll explain why that trade would make sense. So for starters, let me see. Okay, we rip higher. Cool. Dun, dun, dun. Then we kind of stall out over here. Then we got lower. Cool. Yeah, right here. So far, IB high has set second for the 1 hour IB. The 45-minute IB. Not only did the high set second, but we also broke it. It is by wick. The 45-minute IB does tend to double break more often than the 1 hour IB, but the 1 hour IB hasn't broken yet. It did set the IB high second. There's a higher chance that we break it. There is an unfilled 1 hour up here. Um, and we're still. The New York view up, it's kind of eh. I mean, we've held it once, tried to hold it here, couldn't. But then we also have overnight view up here. Okay? So, what you could have done here with this low volume node, plain and simple, just entered off that. I'm pretty sure 720.25, right? So 720.25, your entry at 752. Okay, this would have been the ideal trade. Just wait for the retracements to the low volume node. Don't trade off of anything else. If it aligns with Vivo up, great. If it doesn't, that's cool too. But even just aiming for these internal highs, you're like, you know what? Price action is kind of wonky here because we get a 200, almost a 300 point move up, and then we get a retrace of 211 points. So pretty volatile, right? So let's say you center here, you aim for these internal highs, right? It's a high inside of a 5 minute for value gap. Plain and simple, just playing off of the low volume node, not even just relying on bug map. And I know this works out because I remember the price action of this day. And I'm pretty sure you get take profit. No? Or was it the other one? Oh no, never mind. I think it was a flat 3R. Yeah, sorry about that. If you aim for the upper view up end, I thought it was the highs, but I remember this played out for a nice RR. Like, it's a 100 point move. You have a 32 point stop, a 100 point target. Like, why would you not take that? You know what I mean? Even if you just aim for the 100 point target, just flat out 100 point target, that gets you TP in, I want to say, like a very brief period of time, from 10:58 till 11:06, 8 minutes, 8 freaking minutes. Like, are you kidding? Um, like, yeah, you would have profited in 8 minutes, 100 points, plain and simple, just playing off of the low volume mode. And what's in a, like, what you would have at this point is the point of control is in your favor. The low volume nodes in your favor. The IB highs in a second, that statistic is also in your favor. And there's another play here that you could have seen. If I'll show you here in just a second, kind of get a dump lower. You're like, ooh, maybe we actually break the IB low. We're pretty close to it. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're at overnight VWAP. Remember how I mentioned New York VWAP held for once, then we kind of stalled out, broke through it. Now we gotta see if overnight VWAP holds or not. Looks like we're just kind of stalling. Cool. Look how close we get to IB low, and we don't break it. We get like 2 points, 2.5 points away from IB low, and we get this massive wick, right? It's, I want to say, like 50 point wick, 40 point wick, but it's like a 90 point candle probably. 80 point candle, 79 points and a half. Cool. So you're like, you know what, let's try this, right? Obviously you're not gonna have a freaking 75 point stop, so maybe let's just go for a flat 40 point stop, little below the base, right? And you're aiming for, once again, maybe these highs, or you want to hold runners to the 1 hour FEG and kind of let it play out from there. Pretty insane RR if you ask me, but we'll see if it plays out or not. 966. What's the number on this? 96650. Cool. So 6.14 RR. And see how this plays out. Get a strong candle there. Maybe you trail to the body. And we're kind of breaking your view up aggressively. See if the upper band holds or not. Looks like it's holding. I want to see the next candle. Okay. Want to watch the next candle as well. Cool. We break above it. Maybe we trail to here, right? Let's say we had a trail initially here. We'll make it like this, and maybe a bit more noticeable. So maybe here. Okay. You're up 155 points. If you close here, that's a 3R, almost a 4R. You've secured 1.5R on your trade if you took this. Yeah, we can let it play out a bit more. See if we get a retrace. Okay, continue higher. See if we get another aggressive candle. Okay, getting a bit of a retrace. Cool. Looks like we might be basing out. Alright, looks like we might actually break the IB high. Cool, we broke it, but we wicked it. Maybe you want to wait a little bit more. Maybe you're willing to trail to here. I think that's reasonable. Cool. Alright, we're getting a bit of a retrace. Let's see if we can find the base. Awesome. If we break the high here, we're pretty close to our target. We're probably going to trail. At this point, you could have taken partials. Maybe at this internal high, maybe at this high, something. Right? Alright. Not nice. See what happens here. Cool. Maybe you're like, I want to see this push higher so I can actually adjust my stop a bit more. You might actually get stopped here. Ooh. Yeah, you might have got stopped. You might have gotten stopped there, but I think you got stopped at a pretty solid R. Yeah, 2.47. You caught 98 points. But even if you just aimed for this, that's a 5R. I would have probably closed at this point already. I'm not used to. I think the biggest RR I've hit is like 4.64, and that's not usual. I caught a great momentum move, and it was like a great trade. I think it's one of the recaps that I posted actually. One of the most recent ones too, because it was this past week. But yeah, I think this actually ends up playing out. Or maybe not. Yeah, it does. That's funny. So yeah, if you trail to here, maybe you wanted to see your VWAP get retested or something. Either way, it's fine. Or maybe you wanted to be more patient and actually held like all the way down here, or maybe just a break even. If you were more loose with your stop, you wanted to catch more momentum, that's also fine. You could have caught a nearly 300 point move, so 280 point move, pretty freaking massive. So yeah, pretty solid day in terms of price action. I mean, no, that's a lie. I take that back. Mostly because we left equal lows unswept 2 times. 2 fucking times. I'm pretty well, maybe 3 if you consider this second attempt, another attempt. But equal lows and still not sweeping them. And there's a fair value gap right there. Wow. Fair value gaps don't have the best statistic behind them, but yeah. Lesson to learn from this day, where I blew up. Set the personal daily loss limit, which I already did. I'll actually show you really quick. So I actually sent a picture to my mentorship group chat. So I'm a student and I'm not a mentor. Actually, I do have a student, but this is the new eval that I got. Got it a few minutes ago. I set the daily loss limit and I set the profit target mostly because there's a consistency rule. So I don't want to, blow that up. I don't think I'm going to pass it in 2 days. But I think 650 is very reasonable because I do 200 per trade, and 3 trades is my limit. I know that for a fact. 3 trades and I'm done. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for me. Because if I trade the same idea twice and it fails, and I'm like, maybe I'm wrong, and I find another opportunity, I have one more shot, right? Or if I trade once and then notice I'm wrong, and then I get 2 attempts to the next idea with in the other direction, I get 2 attempts on that. You know what I mean? So like trying to give myself a good amount of opportunity, but not so much that I like could blow the account. So 650 is my limit, and I'm saying that because it should be 600, but there's wiggle room. Like I could, my trade could be like 210, 220. So like there's a bit of wiggle room, a bit of room for error, because you're not always gonna have if you work with the risk the way that I do, which is fixed dollar amount, and you just do dynamic contract size, you're not always gonna get it 100% right. It's not gonna be. You gotta be very fast to get it like very accurately, and at times you'll get certain values like with this one, right? Well, I mean this isn't the greatest example, but if we do 200, right, and we do say freaking let's do it like all the way over here so it's a bit more clear. If we do like a 35.25 stop, it's a I want to say that's a normal size stop with the current volatility. Um, that's 284. So 2.8 micros, because this gives me the number in minis. So 0.2 equals 2 micros. Okay. So 0.28 is 2.84 micros in this case. I can't do 2.84 micros. It's not a thing. It's a whole number. But if you do 212, that's 3 micros, right? Or like 211 with like cents or something like that. That's 3 micros. If I get like a number like this, like 2.84, I'm probably gonna do 3 micros, because the there's no reason for me to decrease the amount so much, because if I do like it's probably 150, it's probably close, yeah, not even, it's like 142. If I hit full TP on that, that's 280. That's like not even a not even a 1.5 R on my usual size. It messes with my risk too much. Um, and it's not favorable for me. I'm okay with losing like a few extra bucks if it's like in accordance with my risk, if that makes sense. Like instead of it being 200, it being 220, maybe even 250. That's like the limit. But you know what I mean? Like it's you gotta be aware of your contract sizing. Um, so yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I have a lot to do, you know, carry on, like carry forward from this past week to the next one. I'm not gonna let the blow up day get to me. We're definitely gonna do better. Um, I just unfortunately had to learn firsthand what a blow up day feels like. I felt like shit. I felt nauseous. I felt like all the hard work and consistency that I put in for like 3 weeks went to shit in one day, which quite literally, if you think about it in terms of numbers, it did. I brought up the account up to 2.4K in profit and blew it in one day. And that can happen to anyone. And now I know why. I didn't have the risk settings uh, set in my account, and now I do. So we're gonna see how far that can take me. We're gonna continue doing what we're doing, cause yeah, I mean, there's no reason for me to not do things the way I've been doing for the past 3 weeks. So we're gonna get better, and yeah. I'll catch y'all on the next one, and hopefully the next video will be me going over a banger ass trade for the first trade of that eval. Alright, y'all. Catch you on the next one. Peace.